Happy Monday night, Sooner Nation. I don't know if everyone saw, but James Earl Jones has passed away, and I'm in honoring him. I've got to use one of his quotes, Jay. Uh, People will come, Ray. People will come. Great, great movie, Field of Dreams, and people are coming on here tonight as we speak. Uh, Appreciate everyone joining us on this Monday night. Lots of things, lots and lots of things to discuss.
That's right. And I see a couple of comments in here. Yes, it was announced, I think, Hatchet uh, gone for the season. Coconut Greg says. Um, this team has been hammered with injuries. You can't deny the fact it's hindering the offense. I will say that. And we're going to get into some offensive talk tonight. It's definitely hindering the offense. At some point, though, you got to figure out a rotation of guys. And it sucks that Hatchet's gone for the year. But they got to put somebody in there and figure out who it is and go. And there it is. There, I was waiting. I didn't know how long we would get into the live before I saw it. We made it 1 minute and 15 seconds before the Schmitty strikes again on the injury.
Hey, let me say something real quick.
Yeah.
Sooner fan. The worst offensive line in OU history just got worse. And I'm going to say this, and please do not take this the wrong way, Sooner fans. But Garen Hatchett being out for the year is better than Garen Hatchett, who played 2 weeks ago. He was playing on one arm. Like, they're gonna have to move on and maybe figure. But to me, trying to go with the guy who's hurt was a mistake from the get-go. So I don't know that it's worse. You played with the guy who had one arm.
Yeah,
it can't be worse than that. And hey, I can't believe this name is blast from the past. Joe Dickinson. Wow.
Hey, that's a blast. That is a blast from the past. But here you are sitting with Jake Taylor injured and banged up, Branson Hickman injured and banged up, Josh Bates injured and banged up. Is it time to just play guys that aren't injured and see what they got? I'm serious. Like, Howland played quite a bit the other day opposite Tarquin when Taylor went out. Maybe play Howland and just go with it if he's not injured, if he's not banged up.
Yeah, Jake Taylor, Jay, couldn't get through a half. So
here's the thing. We're sitting here on Monday. The OU Tulane game is 2:30 on Saturday. We did find out today that the Tennessee game is at 6:30 p.m. prime time. If OU beats Tulane, they're going to get game day. I mean, the only other game that game day would go to would be Utah and Oklahoma State. I think they would go to OU Tennessee. So
absolutely,
if OU wins, it's going to be OU Tennessee with game day there in prime time. OU's got to figure it out offensively on Saturday. Period. You got to take some steps forward. Here's a couple of things I want to say as we start tonight. Two things can be true. Seth Luttrell is not, in my opinion, had Jackson Arnold ready to go, and they have not been prepared enough, I don't think, for these first two games, whether it's offensive line-wise, whether it's wide receiver, whatever. The other thing is this. Jackson Arnold has to play better, and he has to step up. He is a quarterback at the University of Oklahoma. He's got a ton of talent. He's in an offense that he knows. That was one of the reasons why they kept Seth Luttrell, in my opinion. He knows the offense. He's got to be more confident and act like he knows it out there. I don't know. I do think he's been very hesitant, especially last game. If that has to do with wide receivers or offensive line, I don't know.
Yes, I think it has to do with many things.
Okay, but it's time to go and put it out there and be confident and sling it around the yard and figure some stuff out.
Tucker mentioned, and I got to get to Crystal, but Tucker asked about Hickman. I will say this, Tucker. Hickman was fully suited up the other night, so which I thought was interesting. He has that ankle injury. I fully expect Hickman, Jay, to be back. And Crystal, thanks for the super. I can't get it on there. Maybe Hunter can. Jay took it off the screen when I'm getting ready to read it. Many issues. Crystal rewatched the game. The O-line wasn't finishing blocks. Also blocking the wrong direction. Receivers not getting separation. Arnold not letting routes develop. He's throwing and leaving the pocket early. There's a whole lot of problems in Norman, Oklahoma offense.
You're right. A lot of it has to be fixed ASAP. Should have left the Jeff Levy offense completely intact. I think right now you're seeing a combo of Latrell and Levy. And whatever it is, it's not working. I've heard a lot of people talk about the RPO. They don't like it. First off, to run an RPO, you kind of need to have a run game. And OU does not have a run game at all right now. So that's not helping things. What was I was going to get to? There was a comment I was wanting to get to.
What percentage Hawkins gets significant? I say very small.
I say probably 20% chance. To me, it would be Arnold starting off bad again and not looking confident. And
That's the only way he's going to get significant snaps.
If that happens, Hawkins gets in there. I mean, I think if he struggles and throws interceptions and they're trailing and have no offensive movement, then they would probably put him in for a spot.
You would have to at that point.
But Jackson Arnold is a 5-star quarterback with talent. Okay, we need to see it. I think we need to see him be a better version of himself than he was last week. You have to.
He wasn't good last week. We've said that. My issue still. I don't know how in 2 weeks there hasn't been a single hole for a running back. And people can say, "Oh, Tatum, guys, Tatum had a speed option for a touchdown. Samuel Franklin bounced it outside. There wasn't a hole where there was supposed to be. This line got to figure some things out. It's pathetic." And Jetty,
maybe you're better off. Maybe you're better off.
I love taking deep shots, not to Zion Reagan's. No,
he's a speedster, Jeremy.
If he's a speedster like everyone says, how was he not getting separation, Jay?
Jeremy, if a defensive back is playing 10 to 12 yards off the ball, it's hard to get separation.
Play action's got to work. The only way play action works, you've got to have a running game.
I agree. You got to somehow get a running game in there. I don't know what it is, what type of runs you do. Do you not run it up the middle and try to do stretch plays? Let me answer this question from Iowa Sooner. You guys all know before the season, I said he's going to have some games he struggles. He's too young not to. Just like I said about Josh Bates. I said the exact same thing about Jackson Arnold, that it's hard for a young quarterback to go in there and just dominate from the start. He's not performing as well as I thought he would. And I know it's 2 games. I thought game 1 he was pretty good. But what I saw in game 2 led a lot to be desired, in my opinion. Okay? And does that mean game 3 won't be great? I don't know that. But to me, it starts – I think the more concerning thing wasn't the throws. I mean, those were concerning, but he just didn't look very confident. And, guys, I watched him in high school. I watched him before he got to OU, when he got to OU. He is a very confident guy and a very confident quarterback with a great arm. That did not look like Jackson Arnold on Saturday. I don't know if it is the receivers, if it is the O-line. It doesn't matter in my book at this point. You got to figure it out as a quarterback at the University of Oklahoma.
I see a lot of people talking about the no more swing passes, all that stuff. Listen, if the receivers could just maybe even make contact with someone, you could get some yards on that play. They're not even remotely coming close to blocking or holding a block for a second or two. And I don't want this to happen right now, okay? I don't want this to happen. But, Bobby, last week, Nico did not look great. Last week, he did not look great. He had that one really good run.
Bobby's correct. I mean, everybody knows I said Riola is my hot take to win the Heisman. And he's absolutely right. The young, inexperienced quarterback, it's kind of hard to use that anymore with so many young quarterbacks that play well early on. Now, I will say this about Jackson Arnold. I think Jackson Arnold looked way better in the bowl game than he's looked in 2 games so far this year. And that to me is concerning. And that leads me to think, okay, is this a Latrell thing or is it to me, Jackson Arnold should know this offense left and right. I mean, it's a lot of its similarities to his high school, is it not?
I don't know what they've switched in the offense, Jay, but I will say this, the bowl game, Anderson, Stoops, Gibson, Farouk. Okay? Anderson, Stoops, Gibson, Farouk. Grey God. if you can't admit that he looked better in the bowl game, I'm going to question if you know football at all.
Yeah,
he looked way better in the bowl game. They almost got 600 yards of offense.
But the offense itself looked better too.
Absolutely did. The O-line was better, even with Schaefer.
Here's the thing about that. You can talk O-line all you want. That was a makeshift O-line they had out there.
It was, and it was still better than what's out there right now.
Mark, yeah, Max, but let me ask this question.
I agree, Mark.
But let me ask this question to Mark. Does RPO with the makeshift guys moving all over the field, O-line switching from left to right, does that make sense to run RPO with guys moving around? The RPO is not easy.
I agree, Jay.
So maybe they need it. And if you watched last night with Steve Stutzman on here, he made a comment and said KISS. He said KISS. That's the acronym. Keep it simple, stupid. And maybe that's what Oklahoma needs to do on offense. Keep it simple, stupid. And if it's RPO's a struggle for Arnold, or RPO's a struggle for the O-line, or RPO's a struggle for the wide receivers to know if they're blocking or not and what they're doing. If all that's a problem, don't do it. Don't run it if it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, and I see a lot of people saying different things on here, Jay, about Cortez Jones. Look, Christian Jones he's committed to Nebraska, but going back to the bowl game, and I don't want to sit here and harp on the bowl game and what Greg got to, but Greg got, you didn't watch the first week. Jackson Arnold was like 19 of 25 with 3 drops, 4 TDs, and no interceptions. Last week, pitiful. First week, good. I guess that you don't know what good is then, because Dookie is not what he was the first week. You know what? I can say things about Jackson Arnold, bad things, like last week he was pitiful. My problem is when people like Greg God who says Dookie, obviously you don't know football.
Appears to be playing tight and afraid to make mistakes. I think that Gunsman is who he is. Yeah, I agree. He needs to. People need to be okay with a few interceptions if it's going to open up the offense and try to sling it around the field. I mean, take what you can get right now. You got to move the ball.
Hey, I did hear some OU people say that, reporting something that OU's just not running anything of their offense yet. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
What does the word Duke even mean?
It means bad, Jay.
We at least scored 51 in week 1. What happened before week 2? Hey, let me say this. This is not the first time that OU's thrown a really bad offensive performance out in game 2 of the season. Now, those years, I will say this, and this is a difference between last year and the year before and this year. As I watched the first 2 games, here's the difference. I don't think when I watch it, I don't get excited that they can move the ball on offense. That's my problem, is I'm like, who's going to make a play? Whereas you thought last year in the Levy, they could score in a minute, no problem. They might have a game where they don't play good, but then the next game you think they'd go out there and dominate. And I will also say they were pretty good usually. So sometimes they get in a rhythm, script some plays and be great. So they got to figure something out. I don't know.
Hey, Mizzou.
Hey, thanks for joining. First off, thanks for joining, Mizzou. Appreciate it. You guys up to number 6 in the ranking. Can't wait for that game there in Columbia. Hopefully, you can take care of business.
And actually, Caden Green, great player, but if he didn't want to be here, no one wants him here. And Theo Weiss.
I'd like to have him.
Theo Weiss, I'd like to have, but when Theo Weiss was here, they had a lot of receivers. He was hurt, but yeah, Theo Weiss is good. Who's denying that? Hey, Jay, I see someone said exactly.
Is Anderson?
Look, hey, again, I'm not going to sit here. Everyone who thinks that all I do is defend Jackson Arnold, you're wrong. He was pitiful. But, Greg God, you're absolutely wrong, because in my opinion, the first week his stat line was good. It's not his fault for not getting 300 yards passing. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not going to sit here and harp on this every single night with people who just can't get it through their head.
Anyone still – Bobby, I've said in the Discord, I don't change my pick midseason, so I'm 9-3. But for that to happen, they're going to have to improve massively on offense. And I mean massively. There's got to be some things changed on offense for them to go 9-3. They got too tough of a schedule with what's in the SEC. You got to have some things change very quickly on offense. We'll see what they do. And it's only 2 games in, so I don't want to make judgment. But looking at the transfer portal so far, Hatchett's out for the year. Hickman's injured. Tarquin and Spencer Brown. So far, it looks like Tarquin may be the best of the 4, but because Hickman's not playing right now. Now, if Hickman gets back, maybe, but they might have struck out on the portal on offensive line.
Yeah, I'm about ready to. Jay, why don't you answer Greg God's question here?
How many third downs could Jay get against Temple? First off, Jackson and Arnold is not the whole offense.
Thank
You're
you.
wrong on that, okay?
Thank you.
Anybody that thinks he's the whole offense and the whole problem of the offense, you need to go watch games and figure it out. He's not the only problem. It's a combo of problems all around offensively. It's bad. It's horrible. It's horrific. It's one of the worst offenses in 2 games that Oklahoma's had in a long time. But it's not all on Jackson Arnold, in my opinion. Now, game 2, I think more of it was on Jackson Arnold in game 2, Greg God. I can agree with that. Game 2, I thought he had more of the problem on him than he did in game.
I've said he wasn't good.
Okay.
I've said he wasn't good in game 2. I don't have a problem with anyone who says he was bad in game 2. I'm going to stop commenting on it because it's ridiculous how people have to, and I don't want it to be just that kind of show where we're harping on one thing because of ridiculous comments about the first week, a 51-3 win.
Hey, offense ranked 136. I saw these stats the other day, Sooner Freak. It's an embarrassment that they're ranked so low. Absolute embarrassment. Donald Jackson, thanks for joining tonight. What's the deal with Everett? Banged up. I mean, he's not ready to come back.
He's closer. He's closer.
It doesn't matter if he's closer. They have so many injuries. And let me say something before we get to – let me get to Crystals and then I'll say something. Crystal, you're awesome. We really, really appreciate the super. Thanks so much. Did you guys see the BV halftime interview? He was asked about the offense struggling and immediately started complaining about the defensive tackling. Somebody tell BV he's responsible for both. I did see that. Here's what I think about that. I watched the coaches show tonight too. I think Brent Venables sometimes likes to deflect, and if somebody's playing bad, he'll talk about another unit playing bad to make it a team thing. That's what I think he does. Let me talk about something though, if I can remember what I was going to say. Oh, offensive line wise, I think I'm to the point that if a guy's banged up, it's game 3 coming up. And I'm not just talking offensive line. I'm talking Nick Anderson. If there's guys that are close to playing, but they don't know yet, at this point, it's game 3. You know what? Maybe those guys just need to sit out until they figure out they're ready to play. They got to get some continuity with wide receivers because in offensive line, you got to get some continuity because I'm hearing all over the place that, well, the reason the offense is struggling is they have receivers that were third string. Now they're starters. They didn't have enough reps. You hear it on the offensive line. Now they're a guy that wasn't a starter. Now he is. He's trying to learn the system. You know what? Figure it out. Whoever it is, if a guy's banged up, maybe they're not ready to go. Then the other guy gets the 1 reps and get him ready to go. You can't use that as an excuse the farther you get into the season. It's time to play the guys that are ready to go. If they're not as good, you still got to go with them because they're ready. They're not injured.
I think if you're 100% healthy, Hickman's the center. I still would have tackles as Sexton, I guess, and Taylor if they're healthy.
Give me your starting 5 if Hickman's playing. Give me
this week. Is Taylor healthy, Jay?
No, I would say Taylor leaving the game last week.
Then based on what I've seen,
he might be healthy, but based on let's just forget it. No Hickman, no Taylor. They didn't play at the second half of last game. Let's say they're still out. Who are you going with?
Well, then you're going to go Bates at center. You're going to go, in my opinion, I would go Sexton out of tackle, Tarquin out of tackle, and Fabechi and Azida. I don't understand why Heath Azida is not playing.
Let me tell you what I would probably do. I would probably go Tarquin at tackle, and I would play Howland at the other tackle. He played quite a bit the other night. I would play Sexton at guard and Fabechi at guard with Bates at center. I think the reason Sexton's playing guard, if you watch the game, he's calling a lot up there. He's tapping.
I know
Bates.
he is.
So I don't think maybe they don't trust Azida to do that yet. So you got to have somebody at guard that can do that. And so if that's Sexton, that's Sexton. But
and Selene talked about it being a team sport, which I agree with. Brent Venables' post-game interview was spot on. He was accurate in assessment of the offense. But yeah, the lack of discipline seemed to be the thing he was most upset about with Josh Bates. I promise you, if Hickman can play, he's playing, because he is not happy with Josh Bates.
Yeah, but Hickman, people asked him about Everett. He's not ready. I haven't heard anything that he's ready to go. So,
he's Jay, BV said he was close 2 weeks ago. He could very well play.
Hey, wide receiver, tight end, running back not blocking well. They're not blocking very good at all. And this is another issue when you have smaller receivers, is that's a problem. It's also an issue in the RPO. If you don't know if you're blocking or running down the field, it can be a big issue. So I do think simplifying it would help. Somebody asked about Anthony. Trent, I think, asked about Anthony. Was it Trent? Somebody did. I saw the comment.
Mizzou champ, I got to say this, and I'm not bashing you at all, Mizzou champ. This is what makes OU football so great, Mizzou champ. OU is 2-0. They played pitiful. The fan base hops on and recognizes that. The fan base, now there are some OU fans who are saying everything's fine. 2-0. Way, woo. Not here on the Surgeaholics.
Hey, real quick. Jimmy says move JJ to wide receiver. If JJ Hester, with his size, he needs to play then. I know he dropped some balls, but maybe it's time he plays. If he's got size, they need some size around that wide receiver. Let me get to this comment. Playing Troy, like Jay has stated, we're in trouble. And I have said that, great God. I don't think Troy Everett, if we're all on here just hoping Troy Everett gets back, and that's going to help the offensive line a ton, I think that kind of shows you where the offensive line is at. Now, can this offensive line, patchwork, whatever it may be, can it hold up? I don't know. Now, if it's going to hold up, I think the only way it would hold up would be pass protection. I don't know if they have enough push on run game right now that they can just run it on people. I don't think they have it right now.
Hey, Jackson, 2 weeks ago, Nick Anderson was close. Last week, BV said he will be back sooner rather than later. It's weird. I don't get it. It's time to put up or shut up. You got to battle through things. You got to play this week. Have to.
He's talking about Jacoby Johnson at receiver. They're not going to move him to receiver.
They're not moving him to receiver. He played a lot of snaps at DB, Jay.
He's playing a lot at defensive back. Anderson back for Texas.
Well, if Anderson's first game back is Texas, OU's in massive trouble.
Bobby says he actually agrees with me. Let's give Jacoby some run at receiver.
If Anderson's not coming back at all,
maybe then, if Anderson's not coming back.
Someone said it earlier. I want to see Zion Kearney and Ivan Carry-On instead of the other guys.
Yeah, I agree, Tucker. Thanks for joining tonight. The problem with the run blocking is Mizzou champ. And you're right about this. I think the defense is really good, but it's only going to carry them so far. You cannot win games with an abysmal offense. You cannot win games. Well, they won Houston, but that's it. And they might win Maine that way. But you can't win games with an offense ranked at 136. It can't. It won't happen. Can't.
Yeah. Hey, Sharp, there's no maybe about it. Sharp has been a liability blocking. Absolutely has been. They can't run off the edge because he's the edge blocker. That's a part of the issue.
Sooner Cowboy says, heard one of his trainers talking today, and he said Anderson will be back by the Tennessee game.
He better be back Tulane.
Yeah. If he's not back for Tulane, I don't think you can go Thompson, Burks, and
Reagan. You can't.
I think they got to have some size. They got to have some size. They got to get somebody out there. Trent says, I know people are upset with 11, but he hasn't been able to get with these wide receivers. He had been thrown to Gibson, Fruit, Nick, wide receiver, and the quarterback have to be on the same page, and we need Tatum, need 15. I agree with the Tatum stuff. I'm a big Tatum fan. I think he needs more touches. I know he might have missed some blocks. I know he might have missed a call on one time, but he's young. Just like Jackson Arnold's going to go through some growing pains, so is Taylor Tatum. But I do think they need to give him more touches. As far as the wide receivers and Jackson Arnold, I understand it. I understand the chemistry may not be there. Well, then those guys need to be getting 1 reps in practice all week. I mean, you're at the point that you have guys sitting out like Anderson. You got to get the other guys ready. I know it's hard to say get them ready in a week or two, but the time is now. There's no other time. There's no other time.
Real quick, the time is now. Jay, do you have that upside down Longhorn hat by the fan stop nearby?
Yeah, I got a couple of them here. You got the
those to the Surgeaholics. Upside down Longhorn, dropping the Longhorn. Thefanstop.com. Go order you one. Make sure it's here easily by hopefully by the Texas game, or sign up for the Shirt of the Month Club. Get on that package. Something sent to your house each month. Use code SURGE, 10% off your first 3 months. You won't be disappointed. I'm going to start wearing mine on here just for hook 'em horns. A couple of things. It's Jake Roberts. I agree he needs to be the edge blocker. And I am so done, absolutely done with the fact that Caden Helms isn't playing.
Why? Is he ready?
He played week 1. Guy's massive.
He played in the fourth quarter. That's not really playing.
So he's healthy. He's healthy.
I think Peyton Bowen got banged up, but I don't think it's anything serious.
I don't think it's serious. I've not heard about Kip Lewis yet. Chester says he tried to tell everyone about Latrell, but no one listened.
And Chester, the Latrell hire, it may not be a good hire. I think it remains to be seen. The fact of the matter, you're going to have to wait all year to see because nothing's happening during the season. So,
hey, Jay, I got to switch tune a little bit here. We've been talking about the offense the entire time. I got to talk about the fan base.
Yeah. Hey, did you see the thing I put in the Discord about Nebraska's hype video? Did you watch it?
Jay.
Did you watch it?
I did. You sent it to me.
That's what I'm talking about. That was legit.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. I think it's ridiculous, and I'm not just talking OU. I cannot stand all these venues who have a person on the big screen telling people to get loud. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, you've said that before. I know. And
Matt Rule is greater than BV. In fact, Jay and I were all high on Matt Rule, Greg God, and I believe you and others were like, oh, he ain't it at Nebraska. Really? Have you seen his locker room speeches? Have you seen what that team's doing? And maybe it wasn't Greg God.
Matt Rule's a program builder. Nebraska.
Matt Rule's elite. What are we talking about?
You know, my hot take was Nebraska playoff this year.
We both said it, Jay.
I mean,
it wasn't Greg God. Someone else did.
I think Matt Rule's outstanding. I love Matt Rule.
My apologies, Greg God.
Greg God says he didn't say that. I don't remember him saying it.
I said my apologies. There's been so many people on here.
Yeah, that was weird on Saturday night. Bowman and Bowen just didn't look very good back there. I don't know, but
hey, this is an important point. In Jackson Arnold's 3 career starts, he has played behind 7 different variations of the offensive line, 4 different centers, but a bazillion receivers.
Yeah, hey, he's had a lot of combos. That's right, but alpha dog Jackson Arnold needs to now become alpha dog. I mean, that's what everybody wants to see from Jackson Arnold. He's got the talent.
He's got to be. There's got to be some help around him, Jay.
I agree there's got to be help. I'm not saying there's not.
Hey,
Dalpost, real quick, pump the brakes on Matt Rule talk. Go look at his last 2 college stops. What did he do? I mean, seriously,
he's been a
dominated. He took Temple. He made Temple good.
You're right, Bobby. You're right. Bowman looked bad the other night. Hey, I've got to get to it was Selene that asked, what was the fans like? The fans were meh. Now, there's a lot of really good fans in Norman, Oklahoma. And there's a lot of people who are there for the atmosphere and just to sit on their hands and drink or do whatever they do and not understand football. The fact that fans were loud when OU had the ball some is ridiculous. The band played when Houston got a 4th down conversion. The band's playing. The Hey song, sorry, Colin, it's no one, everyone's sitting on their hands.
What about the Toby Keith?
The Toby Keith was, and I'm going to say this again and don't rip me. The Toby Keith thing was a great moment. It was too long. You can't play the whole song, I don't think. Please don't come at me for that. There were players warming up on the field. It was such a long break.
Mizzou Champ, what games are you all going to lose this year if you continue this playing? If they play the offense that they played against Houston, they may only win 3 more games. I mean, I'm serious.
They did play the whole song.
Yeah, I thought it was the whole song. On the TV version, it looked like a long song.
They played the whole song, I believe, Hunter. Anyone else there? Chief was there, I'm sure. I love the tribute, though. Love it. It can't play that whole song.
Has G-Baby surprised you on how productive he has been? I kind of thought he might have a really good year, but he surprised me at the big plays he's made. He's made massive plays for this team in 2 games. Who would have thought in week 2 of Oklahoma being in the SEC, they won an SEC Defensive Lineman Award? That's pretty good. I mean, for Oklahoma, that's great.
Grayson Halton has been way better than advertised. He's getting much more penetration in the backfield than I thought. Chief, I know where you were sitting, and it is ridiculous. It's unacceptable. That game was close. It shouldn't have been, but it was. But the fans, they're not SEC ready.
Chester, I've seen this the last few nights from you, and I don't understand what Joe
That's
C.
bad.
Joe C., why you would want to fire Joe C. as the athletic director. I don't understand where that's coming from. Sorry, I don't understand that one. But
does Stutzman have an arm injury? He's wearing a brace on it. He has hurt his arm before. He always wears a brace. He had the brace kind of wrapped with a white, looked like a little towel thingy. He's not injured.
I love this comment, Samuel. Honor Toby with their play on the field, not a cringe tribute that is forced. I do love the fact, play it on the field and go do it on the field. Play
the Joe C stuff. I don't understand again. Why should he be let go?
Yeah, I don't understand this Joe C stuff. That's weird.
It is an absolute bad take.
Yeah, I don't get it. I mean, that's just
his compliance. Oh, it's because of the compliance stuff. Yeah, they're going to win with integrity, okay? Ashley, Ashley, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you. We do this. If you're new on here, every single night at 9:30, we do this, okay? Defense going to be worn out every game if they have to keep bailing out the offense. Won't be a good defense. That is a concern. You cannot be on the field as much as OU was the other day against really good teams.
Yeah, and Kyla, I agree with this part of it because it did not translate to TV, in my opinion. It did not. Now, at the game, it probably felt a lot different. TV-wise, it did not translate. So,
hey, first, Crystal says, is this team worse than 2022? I'm going to say no. Offensively, they are right now. Fanstop said, what adjustments can be made, or do you see them making? I hope they're going to run more counter. I hope they're going to try to establish the run. I would like to see OU go more 2 tight ends and do more play action. Less zone read, more play action. And Jay, show that hat again for everyone that's on here. These upside down Longhorn hats are unbelievable. Okay. Thefanstop.com. Check them out. Use code SURGE if you sign up for the shirt of the month and get 10% off your first 3 months. Those hats are unbelievable. My son had one on the other day at the game. It's unbelievable. The comments people are giving him. Anytime you can drop the horns, do it.
Here's the difference. I think the 22 offense was really good. The defense was not very good. And I do think the defense this year is really good. That would be the difference. They're not, I mean, they got a long way to go offensively. The Tulane game this week is going to be that's a game that OU could definitely lose. I mean, it is. And I was kind of surprised they were 14.5-point favorites, to be honest with you. I've watched some stuff on Tulane already. Their quarterback, everybody, he's a dual threat. He can run and throw. He's very good at throwing on the run. I actually think the schedule, if you are to get by this game and beat Tulane, sets up pretty nice because you kind of get a tougher game with Tulane and you get to play against a mobile quarterback that you're going to see like Nico. So I do think it does. I do think it helps you in that aspect, but you got to win the game.
Yeah, hit the likes, as Scott says. Hit the likes. Is Heath Azida injured? No, he's not. Not that I've heard. Tulane is not the favorite. They're 16.5-point dogs. That may have dropped now, though. It may be a little closer than that.
Jeremy, you mentioned this earlier about the number one running back and how they, you think they should establish something there.
No, what I mentioned is I don't mind playing 3 different running backs, but I think there's got to be a guy and let him cook a little bit. And right now, it's Javonte Barnes, because if you go back and rewatch, watch him blocking. He picked up blitzes, even on the reverse to the jet sweep to Burks. He just basically laid a dude out. He's probably your best blocking back. There's no probably about it. He's the best blocking back. If you want, who do I want the ball in the hands of in an open field? It's Taylor Tatum.
Yeah, I agree. And Brian Baldeagle getting his workout in. Sorry I was on the treadmill. Let me rephrase. Do you think Bill Beatenbow and Seth not on the same page? The wealth of Bill's experience, maybe he's not adapting well to Seth L's schemes. I thought going into the year, they would be on the same page more than anybody that's been there.
I did too.
They have a great relationship. They're related somehow with I don't know if it's Bill's, somehow they're related. I can't remember the exact way, but so I thought they would be great together. So far, it hasn't looked good. Now, I think you do have to do the KISS method. Keep it simple, stupid, and you gotta maybe take out the RPO, something that's going to make it easier on the O-line, Jackson Arnold, receivers to all be on the same page. I think that's, if I were to rank the offensive problems right now, I would rank probably 60% of it on the cohesiveness of guys playing together. I would rank 30% of it on Seth Luttrell's. Let me change that. I would probably go 50 on Seth Luttrell, and then 25 and 25, Jackson Arnold and cohesiveness. That's how I would do it right now. Because I think you have to go Seth Luttrell. He's the one that gets everybody prepared. So right now, half of the blame has to go on Seth, unfortunately.
Yeah, there's people talking about Hicks. Guy looks explosive. Taylor, he did last year when in the spring game, he looked good. Something happened. I don't know anything because I'm not an insider. Something happened for Hicks to not even be on the depth chart, really. And now he is playing special teams, though, Jay. Isn't he?
I haven't watched him that close enough.
I think Hicks is out there on special teams.
Larry, I see your point about Barnes. I think so far, though, Barnes and Tatum are your best two from what I've seen.
But I agree. Barnes looks more like the first year. Guys, I don't know who's it. The offensive line has been pathetic. Pathetic.
Hey, Seth Luttrell is going to be the offensive coordinator. It's not changing. But I'll tell you the 3 guys I talked about last year that I liked a lot. Willie Corn out of Liberty. Brennan Marion out of UNLV. And let's see, who was the other one? I'm trying to remember who the third one was. I'd have to think about it. But those 2 were on the top of my list.
Hunter said Hicks has 3 snaps. Thanks, Hunter. Appreciate it. Always stat genius, AI Hunter. Jay, no one on the O-line. I don't care. I know Tarquin, you said, it's been okay. They have not been able to make a single hole in 2 games against bad opponents. Like, I don't care who the running back is. Maybe an elite running back would be able to break a tackle or 2, but it's sickening. And you know why part of it is? I'm going to tell you why right now. So, okay?
Tell me, please.
Taylor Tatum's touchdown, what'd they run?
Option.
Speed option. Their 2 best plays this year are speed options. When they have one running back there, there's no... Everybody in the entire world knows which direction it's going and who's getting it. There's no counter. It's pathetic.
Yeah, and you're right. And Chester's asking about Marion. I can share the video. We did a video last year when they were on the search, and I don't know whether OU gave a look, but he was definitely a guy that should have been looked at. And real quick, let me get to this. I want to – Talon Wolf, thanks for joining, Talon, says, Ollie best in the country and can't run behind his line. State is having problems running the ball, but you know what they're doing? They're still scoring points. Why? Because if you're going to load up and stop the run, then you can throw it. I think part of the problem right now with Oklahoma, though, I don't think teams are loading up to stop the run. I think they're stopping it with the front four guys.
It's sad, Jay.
That to
Sorry,
me is the
Martin.
difference. I think they're not loading up; they're just stopping it.
Hey, Martin, I know you say this to me every time, and I just don't listen. I'm not a good listener. I have selective hearing, as my wife says, but I'm always going to yell because I'm very passionate about it. I've got to get to Mizzou, champ. First off, I went to the game last time OU played Columbia. Mizzou beat them. It was the most rude fan environment I've ever been a part of. OU fans are circling that one. It's going to be a fun one. I plan to be at the zoo. My in-laws live in Columbia. I can't wait for it. And we'll see what happens, Mizzou, champ.
Hey, yeah, we'll see. I hope that's a good game. Crystal, right now, I'm with you. I don't think the offense right now has been prepared in 2 games. They've played 2 games. They have not been prepared. It's been a struggle. They've been on the struggle bus. And to me, that comes from up top, coaching. So, yeah, I'm with you, Crystal. I'm not going to defend that. I mean, how would I defend that after what they put out there last week?
Eric's asking.
Let me say this real quick. Let me finish real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
In 2 games, this is my opinion. Do not go at Jeremy for this or any other people. This is Jason's opinion. Through 2 games, I have seen 3 plays that I went, great call, Seth. Great call.
The tight end zone read. That's
the 2 tight end plays last week, and then in the first week, the one play they went to Farouk down the field. I thought that was.
There's one other one. The drag route to Brennan Thompson last week.
It was okay.
For about 22 yards. He came all the way from the left side.
I'm just saying. I think there's got to be some creativity that is right now. I just don't. I don't see it.
Hey, and a couple of things. Crystal, you got to get in the Discord. Got to get in the Discord.
Okay, that was a good
great.
one, Hunter. Hunter, that was a good one. You're right.
2 back set.
Fan stop. Do you think the O-line that ended the Houston game will start the next game? Let me see. It was Howland.
That was Logan Howland.
I think that's the O-line they start this week. Fan stop. That's who I think they start. You're right.
So it'd be Howland at left tackle, Sexton at left guard, Bates at center, Fabechi right guard, Tarquin right. Maybe that's what they're rolling with and going with it.
I think that's your starting 5 this Saturday. Unless Hickman's ready to go. That would be the
I've got a serious question, Jay. I would ask this as the trivia question, but I don't know the answer. So I can't ask it.
I got a trivia, though.
I'm asking a serious question.
Oh, is it serious? Like, it's real serious?
No, because I need to know the answer. It's, when was the last time OU ran an actual running back screen? Maybe it was the Salchuk last year once. They always do the flare screens of the – listen. They send the running back in motion. You know they're throwing him the ball. He's going that way before the snap. Like, what?
Hey, I do like Joey Halsall a lot. Let me get to the trivia. It's pretty simple. But who holds the nation's longest winning streak right now?
You're right, Jimmy. The wide receivers cannot block.
There it is. Talon must have been watching the BV show, or Toby Rowland and I mentioned it. Arizona, 9-game winning streaks, the longest in the nation.
Parker and Drum, according to Zios, B. Lou says Parker and Drum gave the inkling it might be Sexton. I've wanted Sexton at left tackle. Here would be my problem with that one. If you move Sexton to left tackle, you do not play Troy Everett over Heath Zaida.
Oh, why?
Heath Zaida has been really good, and he's a massive human being.
I agree, Zaida, but my question is, how come
SEC guy?
I'm asking it as devil's advocate here. How come Zaida hasn't played yet?
He did play
very little
against Temple, and he was one of the highest
but
graded
why,
at PFF
but why
guys,
is he not
Jay.
playing more? What's the reason?
I don't know why he didn't play last week, Jay.
I'm
not Bill Beatenbow.
Now look, right here, Ricky, 310. 310 that's for Everett.
Good.
If Everett's at 310, that would help things. I mean,
well, it would help, Jay, because
he gives you a lot of experience. I don't think he's like the answer for the whole line.
Well,
but here's what I would say. If you could play him and it would allow you to move Sexton outside, then I think that would be great. But
the advantage,
the answer on the O-line, in my opinion.
The advantage Everett has over Ozida, yeah, he's 300 now, which is great. He's also shorter than Ozida. It's easier for him, I think, maybe getting under pads at guard position. BB, there's one thing BB for sure is. I think he's stubborn too. That's kind of coaching style. I agree, Gray God.
Yeah, Mess, I don't think
they never will, but I would love for him to do it, but they never will.
You know, an interesting question I asked in the was it in the Discord? Was this. After the bowl game that Kel Gundy called, what if Brent Venables would have just promoted him to OC? 3 years down 3 years down the road, would you still have him at OC? Granted, he had the issue that caused him to leave. I'm just saying, like, I don't know. They won't hire him back, Kel. No chance.
Listen, two things: the Chester and to the comment about it was Hub. I think Hubs. If Jackson Arnold is awful in the first half this week and it's a tight game, I think you see Hawkins. Now, I don't necessarily think it's going to be that way, but I do think if it's 3-3, they're going to have to do something or something. And listen, I've said the jury's out on Seth Luttrell. I'll admit I liked the hire originally. The main reason I said I liked the hire is I thought it was going to help them keep Jackson Arnold. Okay? And listen, I also liked it because I saw them rack up 600 yards of they had almost 600 yards of offense, like 6 turnovers, and I almost won the game. I had hopes. I had hopes after that.
Let me answer Mizzou Champ's question. Is BB the guy for y'all? To me, he looks like a glorified DC. Let me answer this, okay? What Brent Venables has done since he's been in Oklahoma is he has totally changed the defense. They have gotten better players. They have recruited better on that side of the ball. The defense has gotten better. Whether or not he's at OU in another 2 to 3 years, I think will depend on the offense. And let me say this very clearly. It's very similar to Lincoln Riley in the fact that if Lincoln Riley would have just hired a great defensive coordinator, he probably would have won a natty at Oklahoma. And it keeps, to me, sometimes when you have a guy that is so good on one side of the ball, to me, it's not rocket science. You go get the guy that you would not want to coach against. Like, you would not want to coach defense at whoever it's against. And that's the guy you hire for OC. You don't want to mess with it. If Brent Venables could make a great OC hire, then I think he could be a really good head coach. I think you got to have a really good offensive mind because he doesn't coach offense. He's a defensive guy. You need something that it's kind of like Arkansas. They went and got Bobby Petrino. Look what he's done to their offense in 2 games. And Sam Pittman doesn't have to do anything. Run the offense. To me, sometimes these head coaches that are offensive minded or defensive minded, it's like, go hire the best guy to run the other side of the ball. Don't worry about it. And you can have a championship team.
Hey,
that's my opinion.
A couple of things. Mark said, is BV coaching too hard? I don't think that's ever a thing. Coaching too hard. Maybe going ones against ones this day and age, it's different. But I got to go with Darren. Darren, thanks for being on here. Darren said, I don't know, Jay just took it off, but it was about BV. It was a comment about basically saying BV needs an OC. Look, part of the issue, I've said it before, I'm going to say it again. There's this thing called a coaching tree, and I want to get to this, Jay, about Luttrell in a minute, because you and I talked about this with Hunter earlier. Coaching tree. Bill Snyder, Bob Stoops, BV, that they follow those branches. There is one underlying, overarching seed that was planted in Bill Snyder, in Brent Venables, and Bob Stoops. You know what that seed is?
Loyalty.
Loyalty. He showed that he wasn't going to be loyal when he got rid of Ted Roof, yet he hired probably the most loyal hire he could have done. And Jay, in my opinion, that's what he did. Maybe it will be great. You live and die with that. Your job depends on it. But when someone says that, I think he relied on what he knows, and that's kind of that loyalty to a T, Jay.
Hey, yeah,
Samuel. It may be great, but right now people are questioning it.
Samuel.
And I agree. I agree to question it.
Samuel, the 49-0 game, I mean, can't compare it to the third-string quarterback out there. To say that it's historically bad, they've been, the last 2 years under Levy, they've been a top 5 offense, have they not? They were great offensively the last 2 years under Brent Venables with Levy. So I don't understand kind of
Jason.
They had the 49-0 loss. I get that. But.
People wanted to rip Levy. I was pretty liking of Levy. And I will say this. Actually, Eric and I talked about this tonight when we had a call with each other. It was great, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
That's what great dudes do. You call and you talk about things. And people want to talk about the play calling of Levy. Fine. Okay. Circumstantial play calling was bad sometimes. What Levy has that we don't have this year's, Levy was a quarterback guru. He knew how to coach quarterbacks. Jackson Arnold and Levy were like this. I know there's an analyst over there, Jay, a young guy, JP Lossman. Like, I know they got some guys who are helping with quarterbacks. But Jeff Levy, like, I think people are downplaying that part of it.
Yeah, but I think Jackson Arnold and Seth have a great relationship. This
Downpost cupcake schedule. Temple and Houston are cupcakes. They're the king of the cupcakes.
Yeah. Hey, Billy on says
250 yards of offense.
Billy on says this.
2 games total.
Billy on says everyone needs to give Jackson Arnold a little bit of a break. You couldn't imagine the pressure that this kid's under being the starting quarterback in Oklahoma. He's just a kid. Let me say this. Jackson Arnold knew exactly what he was walking into when he came to the University of Oklahoma to play quarterback. And I understand. Give him a break. I agree. He's a young quarterback. It's tough on young quarterbacks. But at this day and age in college football, there's one thing that's not the same as it was 15 years ago. People are getting paid good money to be quarterbacks at high-profile universities. Hey, good money, okay? So
I agree.
People are expected – they expect young quarterbacks to go out there and perform because teams are paying them good money. And there is no way that Jackson Arnold didn't know that there was going to be pressure on him in Oklahoma. It's probably out of every college institution, quarterback-wise, that's one of the highest institutions as far as looking at teams for quarterbacks. It's Oklahoma. Look how many number 1 draft picks they've had in the last 5 years, 10 years, whatever it's been. So he knows the pressure. I'm not saying pile on him. I'm saying he needs to perform. I mean, he knows that. He knows that. Okay. And I think he has a chance to have a great game, but I got to see a lot more from the whole offense for Jackson Arnold to have a great game. It can't just fall on Jackson Arnold's shoulders.
If you're going to throw the ball 23 times a game, which is easily winnable. I mean, Tennessee did that last week. Tennessee, that's how many passes they made. It was like 18 of 23. There's got to be a running game with it.
Got to have a running game.
There has to be some kind of run game.
Hey, Colby, real quick. I understand Lincoln Riley with what he did with Jalen Hurts, Kyler Murray, and Baker Mayfield. But go back before Lincoln Riley. Jason White, Sam Bradford, Josh Heupel. I mean, they were still quarterbacks all over at University of Oklahoma. So you can't just say it's Riley. They've had quarterbacks before Riley.
Hunter, drop in the chat where OU ranks in the with the how many yards a game they averaged last year. I'm guessing it was about 140, 130 rushing. Jay, let me say this about Latrell because I know it sounds like I just ripped him to death. I think the jury's out. I do think there's a lot of things going against him. I love what he said in the postgame. Loved it. He owned up to it. He's not a patient guy. He knows they got to figure some things out. He has coached plenty of offense. He was, as Mez said, he was in the room with Levy. and then he knows Jackson Arnold. To me, until it happens on the field, and the thing is, we saw him air it out in the bowl game. So yeah. Bobby says 104. I was close. I was close off the top of my chest.
What's that? 147 is what?
Yards per game last year.
Yeah.
It was the second half of the season, 182 yards per game rushing. That's not bad.
I think this is my problem so far of what I've seen. And it's not just, I mean, it is this year, but it's been other years too. It seems like it takes half the season to get the running game going. And I don't understand that. You have all off season. Why does it take half the season to figure out the running game?
Yeah. I don't know, Jay. It was last year. Aaron, I'm gonna give my viewpoint on this. Again, let me repeat. My viewpoint. This is not anyone else's. It's not Seth Luttrell's. If I was taking over an offense and I stayed with the coordinator's offense that ran the system before me, I think there would be some part of me that says, well, yeah, I'm just kind of riding the coattail of Levy. Especially since Luttrell was a head coach. Luttrell ran offenses, and they scored a lot of points. I think he's trying to let's call the offense what it is. It's the Lutrebi.
Okay,
they're running the Lutrebi offense, and they need to just figure out what they're doing. The Lutrebi isn't working.
Let me ask you this, and you might not like the question. I'm not sure. And first, I want to say, Taylor, I agree with you 1,000%. I about lost it. Okay, but let me say this. You're right. Jeff Levy's Seth Luttrell's called plays before. North Texas. You remember the quarterback there?
Mason Fine.
Mason Fine. Who's more talented, Jackson Arnold or Mason Fine?
Mason Fine was a great small school.
Wait. Jackson Arnold. How was Mason Fine putting up ungodly numbers in that offense with Seth Luttrell?
Jay, you tell me.
So here's what I'm asking.
It doesn't look like the same offense, Jay.
Well,
what are they doing?
Listen. So much of the offense in some of these schemes that they run is the quarterback is heavily relied upon. And I think Jackson Arnold, he's going to have to figure out to me, he didn't look confident out there. And this offense is run off confident quarterbacks. You cannot run this offense, especially RPO, if you don't know, if you're not confident in your receivers or O-line, whatever it is. If that's how the scheme works and you can't do it, then you got to change the offense to fit what you have or something, because right now it's not working. And I know it's only 2 games in, it could fix it. But to me, you got to either simplify it or something, because right now it doesn't seem to be on any type of rhythmic identity.
It's the Lutrebi, Jay. It's the Lutrebi. It's the Lutrebi. Let me say this, and
by the way, he does still play CFL. You're right.
He was an absolute stud at Locust Grove. I agree. Hey,
but he's not as talented as Jackson Arnold.
No, he wasn't. I didn't say he was, Jay. Couple of things here. Yeah, Peyton Bowen. I'm a little concerned about the injuries with Bowen. Kinds of be injury prone. Fanstop says I was hoping he would run more of the Leach offense, and that's the thing. He was a Leach guy, kind of prodigy, right, Jay?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like Leach's offense.
Well, right now it doesn't look like. I mean, right now they're just not executing much of anything off game 2.
It looked like a high school offense.
Guys and gals, who knows? Maybe 5:30 in the afternoon on Saturday, we're sitting here saying, wow, where's that been the first 2 games? Who knows? I don't know. Everything, each day is different. Something's got to change before then if that happens. But if it does, that would be awesome. 100% they're the best team in Oklahoma. It's not even close. They just beat Bigsby and Jinx. I mean.
Hey, someone said, can they fix it? Can they fix it?
That's a good way to end it tonight. What do you think?
Can they? Yes. Will they? Jury is out. Jury's out.
Yeah. I think that's the same thing I have.
I do like what CS Land says.
And that's what I was saying earlier on about the injuries. If guys are banged up and they don't know if they're going to play, You got to play the young guys that aren't injured and just go with it, I think. I don't know until they get completely ready to go.
I'm nuts says if OU rushes over 100 yards, they'll win this weekend. 100% agree.
Jeremy, do you remember the pregame we did last week? I was saying they would have 2 guys over 100. I thought last week they would turn it around on the running game. It didn't happen. So I can't pick that. Please, when we do our game day picks this week, don't.
Hey, I'll enjoy BV as head coach, Mizzou. Hey, enjoy getting worked over in Columbia, Missouri this year by the Sooners, okay? Enjoy getting worked over. Mizzou,
Hey, all I gotta say,
you can rip BV all you want. You have the right to do that. Mizzou's done nothing in the history of their football team, okay? The University of Missouri is a basketball school from when Norm Stewart was there and Derek Chevius, okay? That's the only time they're any good at anything.
I am excited to watch Jaden Jackson versus Caden Green. I think that's going to be a great matchup.
Hatchett's out for the year, Hubs. Hatchett's done for the year. It was announced tonight.
That's what I heard tonight. But get him, Germ. Get him, he says.
Missouri doesn't. Jay, I mean, you got Chase Daniel picking his nose. That's really Missouri football is known for Chase Daniels picking his nose on air. That's what they're known for, Jay.
No, they're also known for the guy that played basketball that was faked his injury a lot. What was his name? Was it Sutherland?
Oh, John Sutherland.
No, not Sunvold. Cannot think of his name. Anyway,
I don't know it.
Hey, Chase Daniel made the most money as a backup quarterback probably in the history of NFL. Backup quarterback. He was a great backup quarterback in the NFL.
And I agree with KJ Goated. A+ in everything except for situational play calling. That hire by BV was a great hire. And honestly, if you ask BV when he hired it, he would not have thought that he would be a head coach this early.
Who? Levy?
Yeah, he did not hire Levy thinking he was going to be here that short of time.
No, I
blew
think
up
Levy
in his
was
face.
a great. I think Levy was a great hire. It's kind of too bad he didn't stick around for a few more years, to be honest. But
Michael
we're
Smith.
Gonna find
I remember Michael Smith.
We're going to find out by this year's end if Seth Luttrell is the right hire. You're going to find out. I mean, you'll know probably halfway through the year. But you can't say that he doesn't have a talented quarterback playing quarterback. So if Jackson Arnold can't figure it out, then I don't know what the issue is.
They're going to have to put Hawkins in if he can't, Jay. We've said this. If he plays that bad again, with other guys coming back, you can't. Time's a ticking.
Hey, Mizzou champ, I don't back down from any of this. You're absolutely right. OU hasn't won one in 20
OU hasn't won in 20 years. It's pathetic. Pathetic.
But I will say this, because of the Surgeaholics and everybody on here, OU fans aren't happy with 9-3 or 8-4. Okay? I think a lot of Missouri fans until last year were very happy with 8-4.
That's facts. And you're right. I think Missouri's going to win one this year. Their rowing team is excellent. I think the rowing team's going to have a great shot at the Natty this year.
Does Missouri make the playoff? That's the question. What do you think?
I'm saying no because I don't think they're going to be in the top 4 or 5 of the SEC. Ole Miss, Georgia, Bama. I don't know if Bama is, Jay.
Texas.
Oh yeah, I love Texas. Texas, Georgia, and Ole Miss right now are the 3 I think. And then I think Missouri's got a chance for sure. Got a chance, but you got to see what they can do in the big games.
Alabama. What do you think?
Yeah, Alabama to me.
Tennessee. Tennessee's schedule. If Tennessee were to come into Norman and beat Oklahoma, they're going to
then they're on a crash course for the playoff.
I would agree. If they go into Oklahoma and win, and by the way, Josh Heupel will not be holding back if they get a lead. Promise you. He will try to score as many points as possible against Oklahoma. You can book that. And you do not want that to happen.
Here's a fact, and we'll end it with this. Bobby says Mizzou meet Mez. Mez meet Mizzou. Both your teams are going 12-0. And guess what? They're going to be on November 9th. If they're both, whatever it is, 8-0 at that time, one of you is going to be wrong. But yeah, Heupel's going to get a warm reception at the Palace on the Prairie. But I promise you, Heupel is not happy with how things ended at OU.
Yeah, and OU kicks Josh right back to Knox with the nail. That would be outstanding. If I'll say this, if OU in 2 weeks is sitting at 4-0, I will be sitting there saying, I don't know how they did it. Because right now, offensively, it would be for them to win the next 2 games, I think it would be some total changes on offense. And maybe it happens. I'm not saying it can't. I'm just saying a lot of things have to change. Hey, real quick, before we close this, make sure, couple things. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the subscribe button. It makes a difference because you're notified when we go live or when we put a video out. Also, hit the like button on the video. That helps the channel a lot. We appreciate it. And check out the fan stop, www.thefanstop.com. Hey, Mizzou, they probably have Mizzou stuff. It's officially licensed for a ton of schools. So check them out.
And join the Discord, Crystal and others. Join the Discord. The link's in the description, or you can just email us at ousportsroundup@gmail.com. Appreciate everyone in the chat. We'll do this again tomorrow night. Thanks so much. We'll see you all. Boomer.